Hi, I'm Paul from Test Data Services, and this video is going to walk through some amazing correlation that's possible between load testing and X-Ray. So X-Ray is allowing you to do detailed instrumentation of applications, in this case a serverless app, and I'm correlating it with data from LoadRunner 2020 Service Pack 2, and I'm doing it with both the Professional Edition and the Developer Edition. So when we run a test and we generate a whole lot of data points for response times, it's really awesome if we don't just assume that certain slow traces and slow match up with certain transactions. It's nice if we can do a high resolution verification and visually check that, yep, these traces really are relating to these transactions, and these components within these traces are the offending ones. So this is most important when you have a number of slow transactions and you're trying to figure out which ones are which. It's also important when you have a situation on the back end where one slow thing tends to lead to another, and you need to see which is first and second and so on. Now, these transactions are giving really good resolution in time, down to 10 milliseconds, which is fantastic. So I will now show you a simple test. Let's just bring up, let's change this view. This is Grafana, so all the data is getting imported into InfluxDB and then represented with Grafana. This graph showing transaction rates, response time, and some X-ray data, not all of it, just some of it. And if I shrink down that, I'm going to run a script. In a separate video, I'm going to show you how this works. But this video is going to just show you it working. I'm going to fire off a script which fetches X-ray data, and I'm going to fire off a script that runs a test with LoadRunner Developer Edition. And I will set this to refresh every 5 seconds. And now we can see some ramped up load, we can see some response times, and we'll soon see some X-ray data over here. While that's happening, I'm going to inject a bit of performance mayhem with some crazy requests, which are going to cause some hot petitions in DynamoDB. I've set up the X-ray fetching to fetch things only when they're over a certain threshold of latency, so we don't get too much noise. When we first start a test, the first few transactions are often a little bit slow, and that's evidenced here. But we will soon see, oh, I didn't start it, or maybe I did. We'll soon see, there we go, a whole lot of transactions that are slowed down, and we'll see some matching traces to match with those. So this is the test that I'm running with LoadRunner Developer. I'm going to run another one also with LoadRunner Professional and show you how that works. So when we're using LoadRunner Developer, we're actually seeing the response time data points in real time as they're coming through. But when we're using Professional, we export the response times into InfluxDB at the end of the test run. So this is the test run that's just happened. Let's stop this from refreshing, and let's zoom in on this time and have a bit more of a look. So we can see here we've got response times. We had a few slow ones here and a few slow ones here. And we can also see what looks like a lining up of quite a few of those transactions. But to give you a better view of what's happening on one graph, oh, and also we can see we're doing about 40 transactions per second there. If we go to dashboards, and I've got a combined dashboard where, sorry, a combined panel, and let's just make this a bit bigger. And let's change this to the last 5 minutes. And let's just view this data here. Now, what I've set up in this panel is small dots and large dots. The small dots are transaction response times, and the large dots are X-ray information. So in this case, this large dot here is an authorized transaction response time from LoadRunner. Oh, sorry, to the small dot here. Let's just find it. It's a bit hard to get the mouse exactly on it. Very fine detail. LoadRunner, there we go. We've got, oh no, that's not the right one. Well, it's a bit hard to see, but you can see that we're talking about a LoadRunner transaction of about 0.65 seconds. Ah, that's the other way I could do it, couldn't I? We're LoadRunner developer, and let's look for LoadRunner developer authorized. Okay, these are all of the authorized transactions for an OpenID Connect. I'll put up in the right-hand corner how the OpenID Connect stuff works, and there's other videos that show the scripts that are actually being used in this test. We can see these response times here. So we've got a slightly slow authorized call here, here, and a few over there. If I now show the traces as well, we can see that for this slow one, we've got 3 trace bits of information, and this one we've got 3. They're all lined up really nicely. What they're showing is in blue, it is showing the not that blue, the complete time. And then we've broken that complete time up into other important times, like the time it takes to make an update to a particular DynamoDB table. So that orange dot is the DynamoDB table on one of the updates. There's multiple transactions involved in that actual Lambda call. If I click on this again, we'll see all of them. You can see there's an orange here, an orange there, an orange there. So they're different proportions quite often, but you can definitely see this nice relationship between the response time and the lambdas. So what it's allowing us to do is really zoom in and see in a fraction of a second what's going on. Well, let's even look at this as an example. We'll zoom in, and this is 1 second from here to here, and this is another second. So this whole span from here to here is 1 second. And in here we can see there's the response time, and these are the traces: response time, traces, response time, and traces. I reckon that's pretty cool. So that's with LoadRunner Developer. Let's now change this back to a 5-minute view. And let's refresh. That's just disappearing off the edge there. And we do want to, let's just restart. It only runs for a few minutes. Let's collect the metrics again and go back to another Windows instance, which is this one here. So I'm going to run a test now. I've just pushed the start button. This is LoadRunner 2020 Service Pack 2, and it's running the same scripts exactly, or the same script exactly. And this script is generating transactions, and it will run for about a minute. And while it's doing that, go back to here. View the graph. So we'll see in here the odd X-ray information. But while that's happening, I'm going to introduce that slowdown at the same time. I've just pushed the start button on that slowdown process. So we'll start to see some transactions over here shortly, some X-ray ones. While we're waiting for that, let's go back and let's bring the other let's leave that one over here. So now that the test is finished, all we have to do is say results, export to Influx, and then we'll expand this so you can see the data coming through. So there we go. These little purple dots are coming through. They are the response times from the LoadRunner Professional run. So I reckon that's pretty good too. So that's now got all of those there. And if we stop the refreshes and we'll just zoom in, and here again we can see that we've got our transactions. Now the clock's a bit different, so we've got a bit of a left shift even though I've asked it to sync. So it was a bit clearer when I had it running on the instance that was running the LoadRunner Developer Edition. But still, you can see that we have got, for each of these response times, we've got some points, which I think is pretty good. So I hope you found this interesting to see just how good you can actually correlate your load testing results at millisecond type granularity or tens of millisecond granularity with traces. In another video, I'm going to show you what these traces look like and some of the subtleties. There's a lot of subtleties with X-Ray because not all transactions that result in a slow end user experience response time are nice and neat with everything going as you would expect it, with the Lambda call firing and then each of the DynamoDB or S3 or whatever else it's running, doing things in the exact sequence that you would expect. And when you look at a trace, it gives you visibility into what didn't go the way it's supposed to go. Hope you found this useful and look forward to seeing you in the next video. Have a great day.